Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everyone. Happy first Friday in September. Don't let anybody fool you. It is still summertime. It is not the fall yet. That doesn't happen until later this month. So please continue to enjoy this fabulous weather that we've had. And it is still summer. But if you want to have your pumpkin spice, go right ahead. I know that that's a big thing for some folks. So it's 9 o'clock on Friday. You know what that means. This is Friday Friends, where the executive director of RI Elder Info come on and share information and resources that will help you get the information you need to remain independent as you age, or if you're caring for somebody as they are aging. So it's really important that you hit the like button and the share button. And we're going to have a great conversation today. I'm really excited about this guest. We're going to be doing like a month-long celebration, which is always a lot of fun. But as you know, we are a nonprofit and we cannot do what it is that we do here every week, every day without the support of our sponsors. So big shout out to all the individuals who send in their regular donations and they sign up to be monthly contributors or the one-time checks. We really appreciate that. We also really appreciate our sponsors, Aetna Insurance Company. I am very grateful to Oak Street Health. They are a medical provider here in the state. United Healthcare, Neighborhood Healthcare, Tamarisk Assisted Living. They're a great little spot right over in Warwick, right by the mall. And the magic that you see happening here is done by 321 Media. They are what makes this look good and make sure that you can hear me and get all the information that you need and run the chyrons down below. A great little media company. And also England Studio. They're an award-winning web design team, and they helped create, well, they're the web designers, I should say, behind rielderinfo.com. So if you have web design needs or anything at all like that, reach out to England Studio. They're right here in the state. So I would strongly encourage you to support our sponsors because they help us get you the information that you need. So this week, we're going to talk to Bob Robillard from the Coventry Senior Services Center. Welcome, Bob.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
Good. And I realize it's not just the Coventry Senior Services Center. You have a longer
we're
office.
We're the Coventry Resource and Senior Center, but we're also a Department of Human Services within the town of Coventry. So we deal with everyone that is a resident of our town that's in need of connective services. And one of the reasons we're here today is to kind of celebrate that work that we do on a daily basis. I'm also the president of the Rhode Island Senior Center Directors Association, which is 30 different centers across our state that provide incredible services to not just our elders, but to their families, and also any of the caregivers that are in need of supports. We connect them with services as well.
You know, it's interesting because, and I've said it before, and I will say it again, and I think I will always say it. I think when the pandemic hit, so many places pointed at go to your senior center for food, go to your senior center if you need to know about how to quarantine, go to your senior center for everything. And I feel like before the pandemic, maybe people didn't realize how much help is available at your senior centers just on a day-to-day basis. But then when the pandemic hit, wow, did you guys do a heavy lift? How is that now?
Well, it continues, right? We are very flexible folks, right? We are able to adapt and pivot and make sure that the needs of our communities are met. I have a really good quote from the National Institute of Senior Centers, because this month the month of September is National Senior Center Month. So we will be celebrating all month, but we celebrate all the time. That's one thing we do really well. Um, but it's celebrated every year in September. And Senior Center Month is a time to shine a light on senior centers, showing the entire nation how vital they are to the health and well-being of a community. Senior centers provide countless hours of support and encouragement to older adults and have become integral in the healthcare delivery systems in our communities by providing, obviously, COVID guidance as we needed to do, vaccine education and vaccinations to our participants. But we also play a role in addressing an issue that was well known before the pandemic, but really came to light during the pandemic for everyone, not just our elders, but children and families, social isolation.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that one of the core missions of the work that we do on a daily basis is connecting. And actually, the 2022 theme for Senior Center Month is strengthening community connections. And it also is building momentum. A couple of the opportunities that COVID gave us was to really meet the basic needs of the most at-risk folks in our communities. Our senior centers are all located in local neighborhoods and reflect the composition of those neighborhoods and reflect the connections necessary to build those communities within our neighborhoods. The important piece of the work that we do on a daily basis is we meet people where they're at and we get them to where they need to go. And I think that is probably the unsung hero part of the work that we do every day at the senior centers. We all 30 centers, and plus the centers that aren't part of our network, have great staff that are there giving of themselves every day in the community to make a difference. And I think if we look at how important that basic connection is with a person in need and getting them or having mapping for them and helping them negotiate systems that they have never had to deal with before, the pandemic definitely showed that there was an increased need for those basic human needs of food, safety, health. And that's what we do all the time. So it wasn't a big jump for us. It was just, all right, now we need to do it a little bit differently than we do in previously. And we did high tech, low tech, no tech, right? We did all of those pieces of connecting people because that's what we're really good at. And I think that's something that doesn't get discussed very often, and it shouldn't be just in September of every year that we talk about the work that happens, but also a lot of folks have misconceptions of what senior centers are. And it's really important, when we talk about highlighting senior centers, that we change that perception of aging and create important community resources. We have expertise in our aging community, all of us, all of the centers, and we really want to talk about the vitality centers that we have.
I like that term.
We place special focus on personal growth and momentum. Senior centers, we bring to our communities the ability to empower older adults to learn, give, and connect. Resources include fitness and wellness programs, financial planning seminars, art classes, community volunteer projects, health screenings, social outreach events, career planning opportunities, caregiver support groups. We do a lot of intergenerational programming. When we talk about building community and building connections and building momentum, we have to do that with every age cohort in our state, right? All of the seniors that we deal with have families. And they need help making sure that their families have what they need, whether it's they're living 3 generations in one household, and we want to make sure the children have what they need. The kind of the middle group, the parents, and then the grandparents. We have a large group of grandparents who are primary caregivers when the parents are working. For their grandchildren, which I think we need to throw some more respect and some more light on that.
Absolutely.
A lot of our seniors are also primary caregivers for their grandchildren due to a variety of different reasons. So to respect the fact that families should be our priority, and seniors are part of those families, and those families are part of communities, all those connections are really what make a community strong. And the senior centers provide a link to services that No other entity in the state does it the way we do it. And I think, with the work with Rhode Island Elder Info and that sharing of resources and that connecting of, um, if I can't get you there, I'm going to find someone that can help you get there, right? And
Absolutely.
important conversations and collaborations and connections that people need to be successful in their own communities.
You brought up a lot of great points. So you said high tech, low tech, and no tech. How have you been able to reach people in those three categories?
Well,
What have you found as successful?
it's a variety of things, right? When I talked about meeting people where they're at, some people do not have um, knowledge or access to high tech, right? We have kind of younger seniors and older seniors, and their needs are different. Each person's need is different, but we have to find them where they're at. So one of the things we did is our low tech was, and I said this in previous talks that our doors were closed, but our hearts were open during COVID.
That
We
was
were
my favorite quote through the whole pandemic.
I think it's the truth of the work that we do as senior centers is that we are always able to find a way to make it happen, right? We're resilience builders. One of the great things that we were able to do is we were able to actually have a person at the end of the phone when someone called.
That was
Um,
huge. Just that, to have somebody to actually talk to when people were scared, when some of them were sick, when there was a lot of miscommunication or insufficient communication, the ability to call the senior centers and get a human being. Now, granted, there were a lot of calls that you guys were fielding. God bless all of you.
yeah, I mean, and
That
then
was a lot.
the reality is, you don't realize how poor your system is until it's taxed like that, right?
Yep.
One of the things we found is each senior center in their unique, communities dealt with their communities uniquely and similarly. Like there was some general things that were very much, we're here to provide you that bridge to get you to your vaccinations or to get you to your shopping so that you have food in your house, or to your prescriptions, or to make sure that we had a lot of calls from out of state saying, can you check on my grandparents? You can check on my parents. I've called them, but I need someone to do an eyes on. We need to make sure that they have what they need. And we flex those things. We were able to not only outreach, have people call us, but we have a program where we can do robocalls out to folks for reassurance, and they can call us back. And we know if they picked up the phone on this robocall. So if they didn't, we could go the next step. And some folks are more computer literate than others, so we were able to outreach to them and to have them participate in some classes or some connective opportunities as we got through COVID. I still think one of the things we're finding is the re-entry is different in every venue too. Some folks are in a different space than others, so making sure that now that our doors are open, that we are seeing an influx of people that never used our services before, but we got them to their vaccinations. So they're like, hey, they actually do good stuff over there. Let's go. And now they're participating in classes and having meals and connecting with people. And I think a lot of the issues around COVID actually are getting ameliorated by the senior centers on making sure people have that time and space together. And that loss of that, we always talk about isolation is the worst thing that can happen to a human. When someone is in prison, they get put in solitary when they misbehave, right? That's like the worst punishment you can give someone. And we all had that to levels. We all had levels of isolation and disconnect and anxiety around reconnecting and anxiety around COVID. And so there's so many needs in our communities for connection at this point. And I mean all ages. And senior centers are able to pull seniors. We actually have a daycare center that has their children come and we do activities together with our seniors at our center. And our middle school and our high school have intergenerational programming, so that you're connected in your community, and it's a benefit. We always look at the win-win, right? There's a benefit for the child, there's a benefit for the family, there's a benefit for the elder. When you can get that to happen, and you have to set the table for that to happen, you have to, and that's one of the things I can say our senior centers do, is they consciously plan to make these community opportunities and connective opportunities happen. It doesn't happen by accident. There's a lot of professionals out in this field. All of the staff and all of the directors within the 30 centers really look at, what do they need? How do we get it? How do we fund it? Let's make it happen. So there's always that conversation that happens within our executive directors and CEOs, their mind of, how can we make things better, and how can we get people to have a higher quality of life with better healthy outcomes. And that's really what we're always looking to do.
And the social isolation and loneliness, I remember March 13th, 2020. It was a Friday the 13th, and they said everything's going to shut down for 2 weeks. And a lot of folks were on social media and they're like, oh my God, I'm stuck in the house. I'm losing my mind. I can't take this. I just want to be able to go out and go shopping. And it was as if the entire country was experiencing what a lot of our seniors experience every day. And now that the country, we're back open, we know how to be COVID safer. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, that I didn't like that. I don't want that for my mom and dad. I don't want that for myself. So it is about fostering those connections again and getting back out into the community, and not only just like meeting people, but the centers have some really cool stuff that you guys do. So you said it briefly in the beginning that they're really vitality centers. And I don't know that everybody understands what kind of amazing programs that you guys offer at the senior centers. So can you give a little example of like what some of the programming might be that somebody could go learn or do there?
Sure. Well, I think one of the most important things for senior centers to be seen as, our goal is to be seen as a local, trusted place in the community that connects people to programs, services, and opportunities so that they can age well. So a lot of those things are around health and wellness. We have a variety of Tai Chi and yoga and even seated exercise for folks that have mobility issues. But we also have arts classes and interconnection classes. I mean, we obviously are great at throwing parties too. So celebrating senior centers is a really important thing from where I sit, because the people that come in and volunteer, and that's another part of the connective piece that we do. We obviously serve meals, but we also connect people. We have a men's group, a women's group, some connective pieces with people just being able to come in and use our library or use our billiard room, or be able to have activities around. We have a writing workshop at our center. So you look at it, kind of giving folks a menu, because what works for me won't work for you, right? And what works for the next person may be different. But to offer a menu and say, I'm going to try that. And we had talked previously about folks like when they first come into our centers and they don't know what to expect. Everyone thinks this is a step before a nursing home, and it's just the opposite. The whole goal is for people to stay healthy and well and live within their own communities. And the more connection you have, the healthier you will be. And
so let's take a second and explore that, because I do hear that when I talk to people and say you got to check out the senior centers. Senior centers are not adult day health. So you're not, or are you? Are you going to help people who maybe need help getting bathed or dressed, or need help in the bathroom, or need someone to help them with eating? Are those the kinds of things that senior centers do, or is that more adult day health?
That's more adult day health. What we do, I mean, obviously, as people age, their function may decline, right? We have folks that come in here in their 60s and are here in their 80s, right? Because this is their community.
Right.
And we have folks of varying levels of ability and disability. But what we do is we are an active group. We are a group that is growing in health and not declining in health. Because one of the things we always look at is how can, because we also have we have nursing staff here, right? So that they can check blood pressures and screenings and make connections with folks, physicians, if they have an issue. But it's not direct care like you're talking about. Um, I think that those pieces are so important.
But it's not the adult day health of bathing people, dressing them, that kind of thing. This is for people who remain active. If you find that one of your members, maybe you're seeing that they do need more help, whether that is maybe a home health care, or maybe you're noticing some changes in their ability to process information and remember. Will the senior center help that individual who's coming to the center and their families navigate that whole health and social service system so that they can get the help that they need that is beyond what the senior center can do?
Absolutely. Most of our centers have social services staff um, on site. I mean, we do a lot of case management with folks and help them negotiate systems and help them apply for assistance and help them. If there's an elder abuse or protective service issue that comes across. Our center is co-located with the police department, so we do a lot of work collaboratively to make sure that our most at-risk folks get what they need. So we negotiate systems with folks. We have very seasoned staff that absolutely have mapped these issues for other people over the years, so they really know the dynamics that take place within a family when someone loses function, and people don't know where to go. Right? They need those resources like Rhode Island Elder Info and connections to state services and connection to in-home services. We all know that people want to age in their home. And that's one of the things senior centers are able to do too, is help people negotiate when their needs increase. And when they increase, that we're able to do some wraparound and connective services for them so that they're remaining in their home as long as they can with whatever services they need. Meals on Wheels comes out of our building as well. So I think we did over 10,000 meals in the community last year. And we also run a food bank where we did probably about, I think it was 2,700 drive up emergency food baskets during COVID. And we provide probably about 13,500 ish food interventions. That's what we're calling them during the year for families and elders and folks with disabilities in our town. So
13,500. That's more than 1,000 a month.
Yeah. And
that is really stunning when you think about the food insecurity in the state. Holy moly. That's a lot.
And I think with the increasing prices of food and fuel this year, we are needed more now than I think we ever were before. So we're post-pandemic, but we're in the middle of, I think, an increased need that we're not even going to, we're preparing for as the colder months come on. Our whole goal is to make sure folks negotiate and survive crisis. And a lot of our senior centers are well entrenched in making sure that folks get low income heating assistance and are connected to whatever state and local services they need. And I think that's one of the things that people don't see that senior centers do, that we help people get. And when I mean people, I don't just mean elderly people, and I don't just mean their caregivers, but their entire family get through a difficult time. And I think financially at this point, we are looking at making sure that our seniors have a safe haven, a place to land, and a place to talk about what their needs are safely. That trusted piece is really important, because I'm not telling you any of my important information if I don't trust you, right?
Absolutely true.
A lot of that is relationship development and connection and word of mouth. That's one of the way we do our advertisement as well, besides our online and our newsletters. But the thing is my neighbor told me to come in because they had this problem and I have this problem. Now, can you help me? Yes, we can. And we'll make sure we do our best to get you to the other side of it. Make ourselves obsolete. That's really our goal, right? Get you to where you need to go. I don't need to be with you 100% of the time. My goal is to make sure that you have what you need and you can move forward in a healthy way. And when I say me, I mean us. I mean, all of our senior centers are based in a theory of respecting the person that comes in the door and getting them where they need to go, with them, not for them, but with them.
That is awesome. And so if there's somebody watching today and they're like, all right, I want to check it out, but I don't want to be like a lot of the kids this week where it's like the first day of school. I don't know anybody. Who am I going to sit with at lunch? Will everybody like me? That doesn't change as we get older. That sense of that. So what do the senior centers do to help kind of get through those first day jitters?
Well, and I had said previously too, I think it's really important that we respect the person for where they're at, right? So the person that has been here for many years, we have some folks that are in their third decade with us because they are part of
awesome.
their community. I actually talked with a gentleman the other day. He's 103 years old, and he has a younger brother who's 101, which is amazing.
Him and his kid brother.
But my whole point is that everybody's different and everybody's situation is like some folks come in here after a spouse passes. Some folks come in here because they just moved to the area and they want to get connected with the community. And then we have folks that have been in our community for many years and they know that we're a trusted entity and they come here. And one of the things I can say is we are able to kind of be kind with that first step in the door. We have our board of directors is set up so that all of the folks on our board actually receive services from us in some way, whether they're disabled or elder or from our housing authority. They live within our housing authority. There's membership from our whole community. But they participate here and they're connected here because they've received services or they are part of kind of an advocate for the community, right? So they know how important it is to that people are connected, and they know how awkward that first step in the door is sometimes. And some people, they don't have an issue with it. Other people, and so the fact that we're meeting people where they're at and they can come in the door and we will have someone guide them and go through the whole process. I can tell you our receptionist and intake coordinator at our front desk is probably the most kind and understanding person, the first person that you meet when you come in, the right person in the right role. That's one of the things that really matters, I think, with all the work that happens in our senior centers. We have people that are dedicated and kind. Two things you can't train for. Right?
That's for sure.
And we have that. We're very blessed. And I think that having that first step in the door be successful. Sometimes people come in here in crisis. And then we're able to, because we have such competent staff, and all of our centers, all 30 of them, have that staff that can, all right, we'll make sure if we have to hold your hand, we will, right? If we have to walk your walk, we will. But we will make sure that we're with you so you're not alone in the process. Whether it's coming in to have a meal or it's coming in during crisis and you need to negotiate systems that you've never had to negotiate before, we can help. And that's what we do.
That is so. For everything that you guys do, what is the funding mechanism for this? Like, do people have to pay every time they go? Is it membership driven? Is it state funded, federal funded?
Yes, all of those. Yes. It really is. It really is a combination of those things. The average center has about 6 to 8 sources of funding so that they can survive and provide services in their community. Some of it's local, some of it's state funded. A lot of it's grant funded. A lot of the work that our senior center directors do is write grants so that we can maintain program or maintain staff. It depends on which center you're talking about. Some of us have income from membership fees, and some vary whether you're in town or out of town. It depends. And then there's some that don't charge a membership fee, and but they're writing extra grants to make sure that they can do that. It's not a and then one of the things I always talk about, there's so much work that has to happen before we actually get to do the work. And that's, in any nonprofit, it is all about maintaining funding so that you can provide better, increasing quality of services, and always look at what are the needs of your community and be able to kind of preemptively get funding so that you can provide those services. So it's an interesting concept of knowing your community so well that you can see that this need is increasing, or this unmet need has just come up, and we need to make sure we work to get some solution there. And it's a community-driven process, right? Since each one is unique and each community is unique, how you answer those questions of unmet need in your community are different. And that's one of the great things that flexibility and trustability, if there's even such a word, but the trustworthiness of the centers, that we're going to proactively and respectfully get some answer to those questions so that we can move forward and build a healthy community. That's really what the ultimate goal is, whether it's a senior community or a family, all of those things. If you can add healthy options, and people are making having a decision that's theirs once you give them that menu, then I think that's really what one of the huge goals that aging in place is all about, right? You want to be successfully aging in place. You don't want to be struggling aging in place. The more we can have people have the resources to be successful, our communities will be successful too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you're talking about communities, do you have any community events coming up?
Actually, Coventry does. And I know that each senior center in our state has their own schedule of celebration, but all their own schedule of community events as well. In Coventry, we are actually working to become a trauma-informed community. And we received a grant from the Rhode Island Foundation a couple of years ago on training our community around trauma-informed care.
What does that mean, trauma-informed care, for
Well,
those who are
trauma-informed
watching?
care, we look at, we're under the premise that folks in their lives have been exposed to trauma in some way. The statistics are between 50 and 90% of adults have had some level of traumatic event within their lifespan. And knowing that, we a lot of the work we're doing is around children and their exposure to trauma, so that we can build a community that's supportive and engaged in supporting one another. So a lot of the work we're doing right now is training our school district and our municipal government in trauma-informed care. And we look at trauma as an event that happens to someone, and then it has an effect on someone.
Yep.
So if you look at those two things, where one of the great ways to explain it is, instead of when someone is having an issue, not what's your problem, but what happened to you.
Yep.
And I think that whole idea of looking at people as not just their behavior, that there's a whole history there. So we're actually going to be doing a community event here in Coventry on September 24th. From 10 o'clock in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. And we're going to have a couple of speakers come from Sarasota, Florida, and from Tarpon Springs, Florida, to discuss how to build a trauma-informed community. They have been trauma-informed from 10 to 15 years. And have built a lot of community connections that I talk about, that senior centers do every day. I think a lot of the work that happens within our centers and within our state, there's a lot of trauma-informed stuff that's already happening that just isn't labeled that.
Yep.
So this Community Wellness Day is going to really work. We're working closely with the Ocean State Trauma-Informed Care Collaborative, and we're trying to build a community of support, trying to look at getting Rhode Island to be a trauma-informed state ultimately. And after we have the speakers, we're going to have local musicians. We're going to have community events for our children, activities. We have a couple speakers from other municipalities that'll be coming too. And we usually have a health fair at our senior center every year. Our health fair is going to be co-located that day. So we're also going to have some of our local businesses, and we'll have free food and activities. And at the end of it, we're going to have a panel discussion with the folks from Florida, and we'll be discussing some of the trainings and connective activities that we've been doing, basically to celebrate Coventry and its work with connecting all generations. And I think one of the things we always look at is there's so many pockets of greatness that happen within communities that are siloed. And if you're not within that school district or that school, you don't hear about it. And we need to be celebrating and talking about this stuff more, and also be looking at how can we approach the work that we do with a trauma-informed lens, and look at people as people first. And, not necessarily, I always say, we're all human. That's why I like being the director of human services, because that's what we do. But it also is something that the Ocean State Trauma Informed folks are looking to build a resilient Rhode Island and be doing more community wellness events across our state. So it connects to the work that senior centers do. It actually, I think, mirrors a lot of the theory and practice around trauma-informed work. And that means being respectful of the people in front of you and knowing that they have a history and being respectful of that. And also being open to helping people stay connected.
Yeah, I think seeing people holistically is the key to making sure that what needs they would like met get met.
That's a key. That's really key. What they would like met, right? I'm not making the decisions for you. You're not making the decisions for me. But if you have resources and options, you're going to make an informed decision.
Yes.
And when you have healthy options, there'll be more healthy decisions. That's the goal. So.
Exactly. Or if you choose to make unhealthy choices, you're educated on what the consequences of those choices are. Yeah. So for the senior centers, they're situated within the communities. Are the different senior centers, do they have resources or activities available in other languages besides English?
Yes, like I said, one of the important things is they reflect their community, right? So if there are multilinguistic needs or cultural needs, they will be reflected in the work that happens in each of those centers. The respectfulness, like I said, going into it, meeting the person where they're at. If there's a communication need around language, then we address it. It's not something that, how can you communicate if you can't communicate, right? So I think the hard part is always gathering resources to make sure those things happen. And one of the things I can say, my peers that are directors of senior centers in the state are very adept at negotiating systems and finding a solution where sometimes there isn't one. And, when there's multiple language barriers out in our communities, and without having an open mind of let's problem solve and find the answer instead of saying, well, there's no answer. I think the opportunity for connection and collaboration only happens when people are communicating and are heard. I have a saying on my wall that whenever someone's sitting in my desk, it's right behind them, and it says, "Being heard leads to healing." Because
I like that,
and I think it addresses the need of being heard. You have to have the language options and the ability to meet your community where they're at. So being heard is that language piece, right? And only when you have that can you get people to where they need to go.
Absolutely. So with all the work that you guys are doing, if somebody watching wanted to participate or wanted to support you or had a unique skill they wanted to share and teach, how can people reach out? How can they let you know? What
Well,
would be most helpful?
my email is on the ticker on the bottom of the page today. But absolutely, we are always looking for folks that are interested in building connection. I think the opportunity and the need right now is the highest it's been since before COVID, and to be able to do that in an environment where folks that their opinions are valued and that there's an opportunity to connect. Those pieces I think are really important. When you have champions of connection in your community, you're going to be able to build a better system. When folks have the same goal of let's make sure we're in this together and we're going to solve it, no matter what our differences are, that we're going to get there. And the only way we're going to get there is together and to listen. You may not change my opinion, but I need to respect yours.
Absolutely true. I think that's really important to remember too as we enter the voting season.
Oh yeah, that's great too. Yeah. I think in general and specific, it's really important that, and when I say respect, I mean that meeting that person where they're at, wherever they're at, and helping them negotiate a successful outcome.
Awesome. So what are 3 things you want to make sure people remember about senior centers?
We are vitality centers. We are connectors, and we are a trusted resource in each of the communities in which we are located. But I'm going to add one more thing. We're here to help.
That is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Bob, I am so glad you came on today. I think this is a great kickoff to Senior Center Month, and I'm looking forward to the amazing things that are going to be coming out very soon with all of our senior centers.
I appreciate the time, and I also wish everybody happy Senior Center Month.
Yay! Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Everybody, this was a really fun interview, really fun day. I want to make sure that you heard September 24th from 10 to 4. There is going to be an amazing festival happening in Coventry. Reach out to Bob. He can tell you all about it. I know that they need volunteers. We definitely need to get the word out about it because it's really important that people understand what trauma-informed care is and how to look after one another in a kind and compassionate way. So it's going to be an amazing event, and I'm really looking forward to it on September 24th from 10 to 4. So make sure that you reach out to Bob, and that's Robillard at coventryri.org, because it's going to be a great event. But please, whatever community you might be watching in, visit your senior center because they are amazing resources that can help navigate the health, the social service system, the community, just finding things that you might need. That is their area of expertise, and they're super kind and compassionate people too. So there's no judgment there. I strongly encourage you to check out your local senior center. They really are a lot of fun. So in that same vein, it's a little early, but I'm going to tell you now, on November 2nd, from 3 to 6, RI Elder Info will be holding a senior and caregiver resource fair at the Edward King House down in Newport. Don't worry, parking is free on November. So we look forward to seeing you all in person. And in the meantime, we will see you virtually right here again next week at 9 o'clock. In the meantime, be well and be kind.
If you like this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.